Comic book movies have literally taken over Hollywood. One of the main reasons for this is the ability of casting directors to find the perfect actor to bring a character to life. While we can literally point to dozens of amazing casting choices that have been made for superhero movies over the years, who are the actual best of the best? Who are the top 10? Hey yo everybody, welcome to Nerdzoic. My name is Matt. What was once considered an obscure type of action movie in Hollywood has since taken over and become its own genre. Comic book movies are awesome. Before we look at the top 10 good guy castings ever, a few quick rules to go over. Firstly, as the name implies, there's only good guys slash anti-heroes slash neutralist ally characters on this list. No villains whatsoever. Could that be foreshadowing to my next video? Maybe. Also, when we judged who was the best, we're not necessarily looking at who adhered to the source material the best. What we're looking at is who took a role and made it awesome. Who transcended the original character and made it near impossible for someone else to take up the mantle in the future. Before we go to number 10, I'm going to hit you with some honorable mentions. First, Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Here's the thing, I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man we have ever gotten. I like him a lot more than Andrew Garfield, who is my worst Spider-Man. And I like him even more than Tobey Maguire, who used to be my favorite Spider-Man, but that's more of a nostalgia thing. When it comes down to it, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man that has ever been cast. Let's take a look at Batman, and there's two names here and I can't choose them. They're Michael Keaton and Christian Bale. Why can't I choose them? Because in my mind, Christian Bale is the ultimate Batman. But Michael Keaton's a better Bruce Wayne. Sticking with DC, Christopher Reeves as Superman. Much like someone else who made this countdown, he has an innocent, clean-cut persona that just can't be acted because it's actually him. Another honorable mention, Lou Ferrigno as the Incredible Hulk. This is one you never hear on a list like this, but if you think about it, Lou Ferrigno was the Hulk before special effects. Nobody else, except maybe Arnold, I don't know, could have brought that character to life. And it wasn't just the muscles, there was an intensity about him that made Ferrigno the Hulk. One last honorable mention is Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. I grew up on the animated series, so Old Man Animated Gordon has always been my Gordon, but after watching this, that changed. Now, when I go ahead and I read Batman Year One, this is the Gordon I see in my head. Okay, that's all the honorable mentions, and believe it or not, even though there's 5 of them, I had to knock the list down just to get that far. So strap on in, here we go. Coming in at number 10 is Chris Evans as Captain America. At this point, I just can't imagine anybody else being Captain America. He had that perfect all-American, clean-cut Boy Scout look that I kind of foreshadowed earlier when I was talking about Christopher Reeves as Superman. It makes me sad to think that the former Human Torch is no longer going to be Captain America in the MCU, but the question that I think everybody wonders, is he really gone? Coming in at number 9 is Jon Bernthal as the Punisher. If I could put the reason for this in 2 words, it's smoldering intensity. Russo! See? Bernthal managed to bring Frank Castle to life in a way that I didn't think was possible. I've always been a big Punisher fan, but I've also always said that there's not really an actor that I thought could accurately portray the comic book version of Frank we get. But Bernthal manages to do that. He is totally convincing and a complete and total badass, and yeah, I need more Punisher in my life. Coming in at number 8 is Karl Urban as Judge Dredd. This was a real close call because I almost had to put Stallone here. I am the law! Alright, I'm joking. In all seriousness, Urban managed to bring this character to life better than probably anyone else I can imagine could. If you haven't seen the movie, the whole idea here is that Dredd doesn't take his helmet off, so Urban had to convey all sorts of emotions without showing his full face. In my mind, this isn't even Karl Urban's best role. I absolutely loved him in The Boys, where he played Billy Butcher. Love. Coming in at number 7 is Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man. I've heard so many people say that it feels like Robert Downey Jr. isn't acting when he plays Tony Stark, and there's a reason for that. They basically wrote Robert Downey Jr.'s personality to be Tony Stark.
I am Iron Man.
And it just works perfectly. His ability to deliver quips and one-liners is up there with the best, and his timing couldn't be much better. Aside from that, he managed to be believable in both action sequences as well as the techie sequences where he had to look super smart. And I'm sure it wasn't easy to act inside of the whole helmet thing. It's really easy to look past the fact that Iron Man was not a household name in 2008 when the first movie came out. He was nowhere in Batman's league, Superman's league, nowhere. And somehow, they made this into this thing, and it started this gigantic 24, 25 movie universe. And a lot of that gets credited to Robert Downey Jr. for nailing the first superhero in the MCU, even though he technically wasn't the first. Coming in at number 6 Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern. That can't be right. Oh. Coming in at number 6, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That makes a lot more sense. Much like Robert Downey Jr. is very much similar to the personality given to Tony Stark, Ryan Reynolds is a lot like Wade Wilson in real life.
Oh, hello.
From the sarcastic comments, the dry delivery, and the one-liners, he was a perfect fit. Seriously, whenever I see a Mint Mobile commercial, I feel like I'm watching Wade Wilson before he became Deadpool. Maybe I am. After an awful and completely underwhelming debut in Wolverine Origins, Deadpool managed to redeem himself with 2 movies later on, and now you gotta ask yourself, will Disney make a 3rd? I don't know, I hope so. Coming in at number 5, Wesley Snipes as Blade. Before the MCU, before the Fox X-Men and Spider-Man movies, there was Blade. I was 16 when this movie came out, and I didn't fully appreciate at the time the difficulty that must have come with trying to bring a character like this to the big screen. And Wesley Snipes more than lived up to the challenge. Aside from having the acting chops to bring the character to life, Snipes also was the first black actor to have a leading role in a superhero movie. It was announced not that long ago that Mahershala Ali, hopefully I didn't butcher that, will be taking up the mantle in the MCU, and he's got big shoes to fill. Ali is a fantastic actor though, and if anyone can do it, it's him, and that might move Snipes off this list next time I do it. Coming in at number 4 is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. After 20 years on the big screen, when I read an X-Men comic and I see Wolverine, I picture Hugh Jackman. That's where we're at this point. We're coming to a point really soon where Disney and Marvel are going to have to recast somebody else to be Wolverine because Jackman is becoming too old to be him as the X-Men get introduced into the MCU. I feel bad for that person because I can't imagine anybody else being able to pull it off as well as he has. The bar is set high. Tell me in the comments if you guys have anyone in mind for it, because I'm really curious to know, because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Coming in at number 3 is Ron Perlman as Hellboy. This is my wife's celebrity crush, which probably says a lot about our relationship. Ron Perlman is the perfect person to play Hellboy. Also, in fairness, I love him in pretty much everything he does, especially Sons of Anarchy. Love you, Clay. Coming in at number 2 is Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. If you were a kid growing up in the 90s, you never had a doubt in your mind who was going to play Professor X. It was always going to be Captain Picard. I just can't imagine if they found anybody else for that role. James McAvoy was commendable as a young Professor X, but nobody can ever take over that mantle from Patrick Stewart. Coming in at number 1, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Goody. This character was the perfect combination of adhering to the source material while also bringing some originality to it, and the result was having the character jump off the page and steal the show in the Spider-Man movies. Also, if you didn't know, Simmons is the yellow M&M. I just found that out. This might be a surprise to some, but in my mind, there is no better casting decision that has been made in a superhero movie to this day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please check out the video here that YouTube is recommending. Also, be sure to subscribe and like this video so you can always come back and get more goodness from Big Nerdy. Till next time, be cool, stay nerdy. Later.